I am gaming. I am gaming. I am gaming podcast.
Hello everyone, my name is Ivica. Thank you so much for being on the latest episode of I Am Gaming Podcast. This is a podcast about the video game industry, entrepreneurship, gaming nostalgia, cryptocurrencies and many more things I find to be in the same realm of business and artistic ventures. Like always, a huge, enormous thanks to all of my Patreon supporters for making this podcast possible. You are really the bread and butter of this small venture of mine, and I'm incredibly grateful that you're all here on my Patreon page. So everyone else, please check out all of their incredible ventures in the description below. There are links taking you to their YouTube channel, Twitch streams, games, Discord communities and many more amazing things they have to offer. If you too consider supporting this podcast, please check out the Patreon page in the description below as well. This is episode 81. We're slowly but surely homing into that 100 episode. It's still pretty far away. That should be somewhere at the start of fall or maybe even the start of winter this year, but we're getting there week by week. This episode is all about a really crucial element of any creative or even business process, and that's asking for feedback. And the problem that many people come across is they ask the wrong people or they ask at the wrong time. They ask too many people or they ask too few of them. Now that's a really tough question, and it boils down, or it can boil down to that kind of a Zen Buddhist approach to everything. Is it enough? Is it more than enough? Is it less than it's necessary? And it's a tough thing to answer yourself. But I noticed that people have several patterns that they present to the world, which kind of make it hard for them to get valuable feedback. On one hand, there are people who ask for feedback all of the time, and everyone. Those are people who simply want someone to respond to the things they're doing, no matter how or when, and they usually get, well, basically they get nothing, because most of the people hate being nagged about giving feedback or checking this or that. But even the feedback they do get is usually from people who are basically the same type of person on the other side of the equation. So that's, in a sense, two sellers trying to sell each other things they neither want to buy. And that's a problem. So if you're a person like that, you probably notice that this desire that you have to kind of get information about your work is not really giving you any valuable info at all. On the other side of the equation are people who never ask anyone, and these are individuals who, for one reason or another, simply are too hesitant to ask a person or a community what do they think about their work. Now this is completely normal. Both options are okay and fine, but the idea is, as the way I see it, is to simply try to balance whatever approach you have by pushing it a bit to the other side. So if you're asking everyone, don't. And the key thing here is to simply understand who might provide some valuable feedback to you and your work. Those are the important people that can actually help you become better. That doesn't include the entirety of your audience, no matter what you're doing, because usually your audience cannot actually provide you with valuable critique of your creative process that can help you make it better. Of course, everyone can say if they like something or don't, give some reason for it, but you need to figure out who are actually people who have some insight in the process that you're engaged in, no matter what it might be, and get feedback from them about specific things, not everything that you're doing. For example, if you're creating an indie game, you're not interested in getting a lot of information for a lot of people. I mean, you are if you can get it, but you should be most interested in people who are, for example, other developers and who might give a look to a particular thing you're creating, for example, a single gameplay mechanic, and get you some feedback about it. So it really does not provide any good result to go shotgun approach and ask other game developers, hey, is my game all around good? How should I sell it? How should I market it? How should I figure out my audience? Anything like that. That's a question about how can I make it in the gaming industry as an indie developer, and no one can give you an answer in like a few sentences or through Twitter messages. Instead, show them a single thing, ask them about that single thing, and get really valuable focused information. On the other side, if you don't ask anybody anything, consider who would you like to hear if everything was even and you didn't get any hesitation about asking people about your products or your creative ventures, and who would this person be. So kind of try to figure out who is that ideal imaginary person you'd like to check out your work and get you some feedback, and then figure out, is there anyone like that in your life or among your acquaintances in real life or digitally or through the internet. When you do figure out, just leave it there. Slowly but surely you'll likely get to a point where you would like to reach out to that person or those people and ask them to provide you with some feedback. So in both cases, the ability to know when and how to ask for feedback is essential, and you should contemplate on that a bit more before you actually go out and seek that feedback. Because if you do, you stand much greater chance of not irritating everyone by asking everyone about everything, which isn't really irritating that much, but it is a little. You know that from your personal experience when you're on the other side of that feedback cycle. And secondly, figure out how you want to get that feedback. What are the things that are most important to you in that particular moment in time with that particular project, and through that you'll be able to improve your chances of actually getting some quality information. It won't create you a blueprint for the future success instantly, but it will help you in learning to do things slightly better every time you get this form of useful, high quality feedback information. That's all for this episode. Hopefully you found this concept useful. Hopefully it helps you in getting and asking for feedback, and I would love to get some feedback from you about this episode. More precisely, do you think this concept is applicable in the real life, and do you think it's worth your time? Leave a comment below and I would love to hear from you. Of course, if you want, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Also check out my book on overcoming procrastination that can help you to apply a bit of simple psychology to go over that tendency to waste time if you have that issue. And consider subscribing to my channel if you didn't before. I would love to have you around for my future content. That's all from me. My name is Ivica. This was episode 81 of I'm Gaming Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and see you in precisely 1 week from now. Bye bye.